Hello and welcome to today's presentation on public safety solutions from DJI Enterprise. My name is Grant Hostica, I lead our solutions engineering team in North America, and am excited to share with you some more today about the different public safety solutions available from DJI Enterprise and how they're used within public safety. We'll be covering why drones make a difference in public safety, some of the main use cases for drones, along with the DJI solutions currently available and what differentiates one from another for utilization in these different use cases. When we think about why drones make a difference in public safety, the first thing that comes to mind is immediate situational awareness. No more are operators constrained to simply a view from the steering wheel, but now they're able to launch a drone quickly and get a drone's eye view of what is going on at the scene. So the imagery to the right, you can see an example from our Director of Public Safety, Chief Wayne Baker, where he was able to deploy a drone and successfully deploy crews to stop a head of the fire spreading to an area he was not aware of before the drone was launched. And when the drone is launched and data is collected, that enhanced view is great. However, acting on this data is the end result. So not always is the incident commander the one with the drone or the pilot. It's often about utilizing the drone as a data collection device and pushing that information to decision makers. And the first step of that is data capture. We utilize different platforms with different sensors. We can fly manually or complete flight planning for precise drone flight or data collection. After the data has been captured, we moved into sharing and processing, whether that is live streaming, completing analytics, or building 2D maps and 3D models through photogrammetry, where we combine individual photos into a bigger picture. And then finally, this all leads to execution, making a decision and reducing time to get actionable data. You can see the 3D model here on the bottom of the screen from the Norway landslide rescue operation, where data was captured with 7 DJI Matrice drones in action, where data was shared to decision makers who were able to look at the same model together and come to decisions by extracting information. Before we move on, I wanted to share a few cases that we have seen over the years that show the value of drones in public safety. Here at the Notre Dame fire, a recently started drone program was able to help incident command see the scene from a new light and utilize decisions for directing crews to fight this growing fire on a historic landmark. More recently, just a few weeks ago, we've heard from John Yeast at St. Charles County, who was able to deploy a drone. The situation was a couple suspects had fled the scene, crashed a car, and ran out into an open wooded area. The team on site was not able to call in manned air support due to weather conditions, and the canine team, though, were able to find some weapons that had been ditched by the suspects, were not able to locate them. So the UAS team, the drone team, was called out to the scene. You can see the video on the right shows the resolution, where after scanning and conducting a hasty search, the team was able to identify a couple heat signatures on their screen. As the drone got closer, you can see the subjects actually raise their hands, and after being taken into custody, Without prompting, both suspects said that as soon as they saw the drone go up in the air, that they decided to give up. The time from the drone being launched to the suspects being located was under 4 minutes, going from a 300-acre area, and no further details on where the suspect were. The suspects surrendering to the drone and de-escalating the situation. We also have our drone rescue map on the DJI website itself, showcasing different stories from across the globe and how drone technology has helped these true heroes, first responders, respond to various situations. This includes a story in Rhode Island where police were able to use drones to find an injured kayaker in a remote stretch of river after the kayaker called 911. The police were able to fly a drone over the location and use the drone spotlight to guide the kayaker to where rescuers were waiting for her. This is just one of the many stories across the drone rescue map. I would encourage you to check it out on our DJI Enterprise Insights website. Moving into some of the main use cases we see within public safety. We'll go into some of the different areas of public safety, starting off with law enforcement or a need for situational awareness. First use case being outdoor overwatch. You can see in the image on the top right here just how powerful the zoom capability of some of our platforms is. And the use of a IR camera in the bottom right here as well for a team operating at night. When serving a warrant, the wide and zoom camera can be used to scout a location beforehand or monitoring during if there were to be a breach of the perimeter. For large-scale gatherings, the zoom camera enables the ability to keep the drone in one location away from crowds, but people safe. Overall, the drone is seen as an option for affordable air support or something that can be used in conjunction with current manned aviation assets. Different features on the drone, such as night scene, allows team members to wear IR beacons so they can be identified at night, utilizing the zoom camera of payloads such as the H-20N, H-20T, and the M30 series payloads. Also, we see multiple drones often used in tandem. So when one comes back to swap batteries, there's another drone hovering in place to take its spot. Similar to outdoor overwatch, a new program we've seen over the last few years that started in Chula Vista, California, is the concept of drone as a first responder. Instead of having officers respond with a drone in their vehicle, the drone as a first responder program provides the ability to deploy the drone from a deployment site, often on a rooftop. These uses of the drone are often for calls for service, such as documenting crime and accident scenes, searching for missing or wanted person, fires, and evaluating damage after a major incident or natural disaster. You can see some of these statistics that the Chula Vista Police Department publishes on their website on the right side of the screen here. Moving indoors, tactical teams we see are often faced with entering dangerous situation where there are many unknowns. So instead of putting a person into a potentially dangerous situation or a situation where a tough decision must be made, the ability to utilize some of our consumer drones retrofitted with small rechargeable lights and prop guards have seen wide adoption across the public safety industry. For ground-based robots, doorways, stairs, and trash can impede the path, while the drone can often provide a quick analysis of the interior for teams to help them make better decisions and de-escalate these situations. We see the integration of drones as well within existing teams of the law enforcement organizations, which we call Drone in Tandem. One of these tandems we see working together are the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team with their ground-based robots alongside the drones. With a threat of an explosive, the ground-based robot needs to navigate to the threat, potentially then pick up that threat, x-ray that threat, or dispose of that threat in a containment vehicle. And utilizing a drone can bring a different perspective for scouting and navigation. Though these ground-based robots do have onboard cameras, the UAS can provide an additional level of situational awareness for the operator to find the best route, navigate different tools on the ground-based robot, or determine how best to approach a situation. The zoom capability of the drone is important in this case, and the smart tracking feature can be used for the gimbal to lock on to the ground-based robot itself. Another drone in tandem case we see is use of drones alongside canine teams, where the canine team can be assisted by the drone by giving them a heads up of any heat signatures around them, while still letting the dog on the ground lead the team. The laser rangefinder of a drone can be used to estimate distances between a team and a heat signature, along with the ability to scout ahead. See this image on the right from the Berlin Police Department that was presented at our virtual Airworks conference, where the suspect can be seen ahead of the officers and canine team. These officers on the ground are able to communicate with the drone team inside the perimeter in regards to distances and information. We also see drones used for accident reconstruction. For law enforcement, public perception can be a barrier to getting a UAS program started. Thus, utilizing UAS for accident reconstruction can be a major benefit to help a program start. Not only does it have a strong return on investment, but can help keep officers safer by reducing time on an active roadway. These passive lives saved are an important motivator for departments adopting drones for accident reconstruction, along with the realistic 2D maps and 3D models that can be generated. This circles back to the photogrammetry concept we talked about earlier, where we're able to combine visual photos into 2D maps and 3D models using a program like our DJI Terra software. In the top here, you can see a 2D map and 3D model view. Here is a screen recording of a 3D model within DJI Terra of a fatal accident scene. And you can see that we're able to navigate around and also take measurements or volumetric calculations within the software itself. In this case, you can see it's between a couple ground control points. We have a lot more material available on this specific use case, including a webinar hosted on our DJI Enterprise Insights page and a DJI Enterprise YouTube channel. So I would encourage you to check those out if looking to learn more about this use case or others. Moving into our next sector of public safety, we'll be talking about firefighting next. On residential and commercial fires, we see the use of drones to assist teams. The commercial fires being a larger commercial building, while residential referring to a smaller home. When scouting for hazards with the drone, the operator is able to assess building integrity, the fire location, the intensity, the temperature, personnel safety and accountability, hotspots, and confirm extinguishment after a fire. You can see the bottom right, the aerials connected to the trucks there. We've actually seen team members taking tablets with them on to the aerials to help them understand where the hose tips need to be directed so they can make sure that a stream of water is going in the best place possible from their angle, which is helped by the thermal camera view of the drone, identifying hotspots for the team to target. We've also seen a wide adoption of drones for wildland fires. In addition to being able to identify the location of a variety of hazards and team members, these tools are also useful after wildfires. You can see on the right an image from our friends at Interpine Innovations, and they're able to categorize different hotspots after a wildfire that the team is going to need to go back to and extinguish. You can also see an image on the bottom right where a hotspot got a head of the fire, and a ground team was able to extinguish before it became a threat to another building in the area. HAZMAT was actually one of the first use cases explored in drone usage by our friends at Southern Manatee Fire in Florida. They utilize the drone platforms for carrying sensors for detection, determining hazards, identifying cold, warm, and hot zones in a hazmat incident, and even being able to see product levels in tanks with the thermal camera. We're continuing to explore the use of drones for fire prevention and planning, specifically with the use of multispectral drones for determining moisture content of areas where we can see if vegetation is healthy or is currently dying, and thus being able to make a determination on the risk of fire within an area. After a fire, teams would often need to call out a tower company, also known as a ladder truck, to get up to a perspective to take photos in arson investigation. Utilizing the drone allows team members to quickly capture data or even fly drones inside for information without putting team members at risk. Going back to 2D maps and 3D models, these can also be utilized for post-incident forensics as well, measuring different areas or volumes, along with reassessing the team what tactics were used and how improvements could be made. The drones themselves don't just carry cameras, but can also carry other life-saving payloads into a situation, such as a line or a flotation device. One of the first documented uses of drones for swift water rescue was in Texas with our own Director of Public Safety, Chief Wayne Baker. They were able to utilize the drone to carry a line to people, and that guy line was able to help bring these people to safety at the end of the day. They were also able to locate a car in a swift water incident utilizing the drone, where the team was able to navigate to the person based on the location found by the drone. We've also seen some scamming of lakes with the drone and different filters on the camera, and working with dive teams in investigation for missing person or bodies. Though search and rescue certainly is a part of law enforcement and firefighting, we also see dedicated search and rescue teams, such as our friends at Weber County Sheriff's Office in Utah. You can see the imagery to the right was from a call out when they had a lost snowboarder in -10 degrees Celsius weather. They were able to find him within 10 minutes using the M30T thermal camera, deliver those coordinates to their snowmobile team, who conducted a rescue, and then were able to provide lighting to that ground team on their way out. Overall, one of the searches types we see within search and rescue is called a hasty search, where they're able to utilize search theory and the drone to do a quick sweep of areas where someone who is lost would be most likely to be. The beacon on the drone can be used as an attraction component, and the infrared camera, depending on the time of day, also may be quite useful. Attaching the drone controller to a larger screen, if at all possible, gives other team members the ability to focus on the camera feed for any hotspots or anomalies. Another search method we see is the grid search, where you're able to complete a grid pattern, almost like a lawnmower going back and forth over an area with a predefined overlap and flight altitude. These individual photos can be stitched together, or individual photos can be reviewed after the fact as well, along with watching the live video feed. Natural disasters are another fortunate situation that does happen within our world, but another use case where drones can help out. The first one being mapping. The ability for drones to quickly generate 2D maps alongside software is shown in the video in the bottom right, with the live 2D mapping taking place, combining our enterprise drones with the Flight Hub 2. This updated imagery can be utilized by community members and first responders. And GIS data can be overlaid with information about house numbers or previous satellite data of what an area looked like before. Panoramas are also a tool we see used. These panoramas are easy to collect with just one click and provide a complete 360 view of an area. As a smaller file size than a 2D map, they can be easier to share in areas with poor cellular service. The image in the top right shows one of the many panoramas collected post-wildfire that community members referenced for information on their home or property. And finally, we also are seeing drones used for urban search and rescue and general situational awareness, scouting for paths, people, and hazards in these perilous situations. So now that we've discussed some of the main use cases within public safety and why drones are making a difference, I want to share with you what DJI solutions we have available. Our main enterprise solutions for public safety include the Mavic series, our smallest offering, the Matrice 30T, the M300, the H20N payload, and a variety of other payloads that can be attached. Our software includes Pilot 2, that runs on the remote controller, Flight Hub 2, our cloud-based software, DJI Terra, for creating 2D maps and 3D models on a powerful offline computer, and our SDK, on the use of powerful third-party applications built to work with our drone systems and different payloads. Want to help you understand what's the difference between these three systems and what features they each offer. So when utilizing drones for a public safety scenario, the best decision can be made on which platform is best for the scenario. First off, getting into the Mavic 3 Enterprise series. The Mavic 3 Enterprise series comes in two versions, the Mavic 3E and the Mavic 3T. The Mavic 3E is our entry-level commercial drone. It has a 4/3 inch camera and mechanical shutter and can fulfill basic needs for a drone wanting to do visual data collection. The RTK module adds surveying drone capability with time sync and RTK, while the Mavic 3T gives thermal capability, but a slightly smaller wide sensor. You can see some of the key specifications on the left side of the screen there, including a 45-minute maximum flight time, up to 56 times hybrid zooming, and 27 mile per hour wind resistance. Providing a closer look at the two cameras here, you can see the difference of the two different models. The Mavic 3E has a larger wide sensor, which is great for mapping and modeling. The Mavic 3T also has a wide camera, but is smaller, so is best used if you're mapping for situational awareness and general information. But the Mavic 3T also offers the thermal camera 640 by 512, industry standard for resolution. Both sensors have a tele camera. When zooming in this example video here, you can see it 7 times. The drone will switch over to that second tele camera and then start to digital zoom using that tele camera. So though there's no optical zoom with this system, by switching from one camera to another, maintains good quality all the way from 1 times out to 56 times. Here's a quick comparison of the Mavic 3T and the Mavic 3E in a mapping scenario so you can see the difference. Here is the Mavic 3T and here is the Mavic 3E. So you can see at a higher level, they both provide the ability for general situational awareness. However, when we get closer in, you can see because of the rolling shutter of the Mavic 3T, some objects may be a little harder to make out when comparing it to the Mavic 3E. And then when continuing to zoom in, the ground sampling distance is evidently smaller with the Mavic 3E, as you can see the comparison between the Mavic 3T here and the Mavic 3E. So that larger wide sensor on the Mavic 3E provides a clearer picture. Our DJI Enterprise systems also offer obstacle sensing capabilities where you can customize the difference away from the drone and different objects. And that is included on the Mavic 3E and T series, along with accessories including the RC Pro Enterprise, an optional RTK module, and speaker. Professional software, as we alluded to earlier, includes Pilot 2, which runs on the remote controller, Flight Hub 2, a cloud-based program, and DJI Terra for 2D and 3D reconstruction. DJI Terra needs to be run on a Windows computer with sufficient processing power. The Mavic series also supports our SDK, including the mobile and payload SDK, and Cloud API, which is supported for those who want to pull important information such as live video feed, photos, and telemetry from the drone without it having to develop their own mobile application. So in a nutshell, when we look at the Mavic series, it offers the zoom capability by going from one camera to another, the wide camera for a wide view or basic mapping, and a 640 thermal sensor, obstacle sensing, DJI Enterprise software, strong OcuSync transmission, AES 256 encryption, and local data mode, similar to your phone in airplane mode. If you would not like the application on your remote controller to connect to the internet, you can simply enable that to disable any internet connection. But you're probably wondering, what do these larger systems add for public safety? So getting into the Matrice 30T first, you have some similar sensors here with a 640 by 512 thermal camera and a 1/2-inch wide camera, very similar to the Mavic 3T. However, the Matrice 30T adds a zoom camera with optical zoom capability and a laser rangefinder with up to a 1200-meter range. This 4-sensor package comes together to form the payload of the Matrice 30T, along with a built-in FPV camera and obstacle sensing capabilities. You can see the difference of the zoom camera here by pointing the camera at a stoplight much further down the street here, going from 2 times to 20 times to 200 times at over 2,000 feet away from the operator. The built-in FPV camera I referred to earlier allows the operator to navigate safely in low light situations, seeing both the ground and skyline at night for flight with confidence. You can see the Pilot 2 app here displayed on the right side with key information including wind speed, drone speed, altitude, and any obstacles in the area. The M30 series is also weatherproof for operation in various environments. There's an IP55 rating for the aircraft, IP54 rating for the RC Plus, -4 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit operating range, and wind resistance of up to 33 miles an hour. These are critical specs often for public safety. We need to respond no matter the conditions to help people in various situations. As I mentioned, the drone also has obstacle avoidance capabilities, redundant systems built in, and safety features such as 3-pop emergency landing, DJI AirSense, which includes ADS-B in, a useful tool when coordinating with manned aviation with ADS-B out, dual hot swappable batteries, arm lock detection, and a health management system for any information on errors or firmware updates that need to be completed. The RC Plus is a large remote controller screen built in at 7 inches, 1200 nit brightness, and is glove friendly with the additional physical buttons on the front and back of the remote controller. This also has an IP rating of 54 and operating temperature of -4 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The powerful processing capability runs both DJI's software and mobile SDK options with strong performance. The M30 offers dual remote controller capabilities for one person to operate the drone and one to operate the payload. A battery life of up to 6 hours with a swappable battery in the back of the remote controller, and a 4-antenna design for enhanced transmission. The BS30 battery station houses the TB30 batteries. These batteries have up to 400 charge cycles and include features such as self-heating and low temperature and self-discharge for storage. What's nice about the battery station is it will charge 2 aircraft batteries at a time and one WB37 battery, which will go in the back of the remote controller. The aircraft batteries are charged in vertical pairs, though the case is not used for transportation of the batteries. Speaking of the case itself, it has multiple charging modes, including the standard mode, ready to fly mode, and storage mode. Some of the software tools that are useful for public safety include Smart Track, which can be used during the day or at nighttime with the night scene feature on the camera. Subjects such as people or cars are automatically recognized, and by simply tapping on them on the screen, the auto track will start. You'll see here, the green circle indicates the auto detection, and then simply tapping it, the gimbal will move and the drone will yaw left and right while staying in the same location and tracking the position in real time, which can be viewed on the map or by turning on the laser rangefinder information. Pinpoint is another feature enabled by the laser rangefinder. So when we think of public safety, if there was a suspect pursuit and the suspect had ditched what looked like potentially a weapon, as we talked about in a previous case study, you could simply drop a pin and continue looking for the suspect or following the suspect, and then come back to that pin later. As you saw in the screen recording to the right there, you can also tap the look at pin button and the gimbal will automatically snap back to the pin location that was marked. So in summary, for the Matrice 30T, you can see it adds significantly improved zoom capability, the night scene capability with the zoom camera, where you can enable the IR cut, an IP rating for operations in rain or other tough conditions, higher wind resistance, additional aircraft component redundancy, a built-in FPV camera optimized for use at night, compatibility with the RC Plus, a dedicated battery station for fast charging, along with hot swappable batteries, a laser rangefinder, which enables features such as smart track and pin drop, a higher payload capacity for PSDK payloads on top of the drone itself, and dual remote controller capabilities. Finally, moving into the Matrice 300 series and H20N payload. The H20N payload has 2 thermal cameras instead of just 1. So this helps when zooming in. The camera can switch from one thermal camera to another instead of only using digital zoom on one thermal camera. It also has 2 STARLIGHT sensors. The STARLIGHT technology utilizes larger pixel sizes to let more light in, and thus, with these combination of both STARLIGHT sensors and thermal cameras, the H20N provides significant improvements for nighttime operations. The H20N also has a laser rangefinder with up to 1,200 meters of range. Here you can see a regular zoom camera comparison to the STARLIGHT camera in a couple situations. Here's one, and here's another, with the location being a little over 1,000 feet away from the drone as measured by the H20 laser finder. Here is an example of the zooming capability of the thermal camera, where you can see switching from one thermal camera to another with the longer focal length enables a better picture when zooming in. Here's a comparison to the digital zoom of just one thermal camera with a payload like the H20T, similar to the M30T, versus the H20N. You can switch over to a second thermal camera. This is important in a variety of public safety scenarios, including firefighting and law enforcement. The M300 also offers the ability to utilize a variety of third-party payloads, including drop systems, spotlights, speakers, and IR spotlights, along with DJI payloads, the P1 for photogrammetry or the L1 for LiDAR. Overall, the 300 adds the dual thermal cameras and STARLIGHT sensors through the H20N, which is the best solution for nighttime operations, but does have some small performance loss during the day while still remaining a solid option. The M300 also offers swappable multi-payload configurations where you can put both a payload and a spotlight on, along with higher payload capacity for any drop systems that may take place. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a better understanding of how DJI systems are currently being used within public safety and which solutions may be best for the use case depending on the features needed. Thank you.